Okay. So we're talking about referral sources. And here is a simple list to get you started. Body shops, insurance adjusters, new and used car dealers, go and see the service writers, hotels, motels, the front desk manager. Don't rule out taxis and limos, towing companies and drivers, other rental car companies. Because when another rental car company runs out of cars, they're just like you and me. They don't want to stand there and apologize to a customer. They want to put them in a car. This is marketing in its purest form. Go out and shake hands. Another thing is joining the chamber.
I did that already yesterday.
Good job.
Good for you.
Good job. When's their breakfast?
I don't know, but I'll find out.
Yeah.
I got to get something for my money.
I'll tell you what.
That's right.
I went
What did they charge you?
$186, I think it was, or $185.
That's yearly?
That's annual, yeah.
Yeah,
That's not bad at all for the
That's
contacts
good.
you're gonna make. That's amazing.
And interestingly, I am the only rental car business on their web that's going to be listed on their website.
oh, that's
There you go.
They have leasing car companies and they have used car sales companies, which we have a lot of around here, but I'm going to be the only rental car business on that website for now.
There you go. So when
Fantastic.
somebody in the chamber wants to rent a car, who are they gonna think of?
Right, exactly.
Gonna think
Yeah.
of you.
And
Beautiful.
the amazing thing that you're going to find is that all the flower shops are going to need, I mean, that's coming up.
Mhm.
All the flower shops are going to need vans because they've got all the deliveries to do for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for Hanukkah, all of that got to be taken care of.
Goes crazy this time of year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
One of the things that I did after I got, I went to a couple of the meetings, see what it's like, so on. And I went to one of the breakfasts and I took in I ordered a case of coffee cups.
Mhm.
And I went to the cook, head chef, whatever at the hotel. And back then I gave him a $20 bill. Today you'd probably have to give him 50, but
Mhm.
I gave him a $20 bill and all the coffee cups. I said, do me a favor, run these through your dishwasher
Right.
and put them out at everybody's table. And the coffee cup had my logo and my phone number on it. So during the breakfast, everybody gets to stand up and say who they are, what their business is, and a quick 1-minute pitch.
Right.
Mine was real simple. I'm with Redirect here in Fairport, and that coffee cup that you're drinking, take it home, you can have it.
And it's been cleaned already.
Yeah, and my phone, and they're already got it in their hand.
Right.
And then everybody's going, oh yeah, I got mine. Yeah, great. And I got a lot of business out of that. Matter of fact, the account with Xerox, which became 24 cars. I keep doing this backwards. 26 cars for 24 months.
Mhm.
And when I asked the guy, how'd you hear about us? He said, I went down to get a cup of coffee in a break room and there was only one coffee cup that was
Wow.
clean and it was yours.
Yeah. Wow.
So you never know.
Yep.
So that's basic marketing.
Okay.
It's getting out, shaking hands. And the worst of the worst is when I did not get out and visit my own neighborhood.
Mhm.
When I was out, I'm outside, I'm shoveling snow. I look across the street and I see a rental car from agency. And my neighbor's out shoveling snow and I holler over, I said, how come you got a rental car? He said, well, I had an accident yesterday and blah, blah, blah. I said, you should have called me. He says, I didn't know you were renting cars.
Uh-huh.
I'd been in business for a year. And I never went around the neighborhood and passed out business cards.
Right.
My own neighborhood.
Yep.
So needless to say, that changed.
Yep.
I'm going to open up day 4. So how's the weather up there? Did you get any snow?
We didn't get any snow. We do have a little bit of frost in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's like 30, 33, 35 degrees in the morning, and then it's going up to like 60 in the afternoon.
Oh, good. Good.
So it's been beautiful.
Good.
Yeah, it's similar to here.
Yeah, not too different. We're into the 30s at night and it gets up to about 60, 65.
Yeah.
Remember, all of the training that we're doing with you
Yep.
is a template, for lack of a better thing.
Right.
We want you to copy and paste what you need to create your own standard operating and procedures manual,
Mhm.
which will have your policies and procedures. If you wish, you can, when you get it completed, and you can copy and paste anything you want out of this. That's what you paid for. You can and should send it to David and I
Okay.
when you get your policies and procedures put together. And if we see any holes in it,
Okay.
we'll let you know and then
Good.
send it back to you.
Very good.
And, you know, because remember, you got us for a year
Okay.
and we'll pray for you later because of that. But anyway.
Let me, if I could I just mention something on the tail end of marketing?
Yes.
And if I'm out of place, just slap me. Steve, you mentioned that you're going to have someone running this for you that has enterprise experience.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like you to keep one thing in mind. The enterprise people will probably, the fellow will probably push you very hard into insurance replacement and dealer replacement business.
Right.
That's where they're from. That's all they know.
Yeah.
Very sharp, very hardworking people. They don't understand how to build a business,
Mhm.
but they are outstanding at going out and getting insurance replacement and dealer replacement business.
Mhm.
All right. He's gonna want to buy donuts and pizzas and all this stuff because he knows exactly how to do it.
Mhm.
The issue I want you to keep in mind is this. You're going to be dealing with low rate business.
Mhm.
He's going to push you into high volume,
Mhm.
but low rate. So it's very possible that you could end up being very busy and not making much money.
Right. Right.
I just want
And
you to
being
keep that
cash
in-
poor.
Right.
Well, what's that, Jim?
And being cash poor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, the insurance replacement business is you could be 90-day pay.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to be upside down on cash for
Right.
quite some time,
Mhm.
even though your revenue may look pretty good.
Right.
But because you're starting with expensive equipment,
Yeah.
that $35 a day rate just might not cut it.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So just watch for that.
Okay.
All right.
Another thing to keep in mind, try and keep your proportion of insurance replacement and billing to 20%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it at about 20% because it's too easy to get upside down in cash.
Okay.
Yeah, we see a lot of people that have good volume and they can't pay the rent.
Right.
Okay.
Because the money don't come for a long time.
Right. Understood.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, cool. Loss prevention. Remember, we've been talking about loss prevention. Seems like everything that we talk about has to do with loss prevention. It'd be best if you remember that not everyone who wants to rent your car would qualify. You are trying to rent to a person who will return the vehicle, use it responsibly, and pay your fees. We have a very simple business in reality.
Mhm.
We will rent a customer a good, clean, dependable rental car at a fair price. We actually, all we want to do is ask the customer to bring it back the way we gave it to them and pay our bill.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, when I was in California, we had that written up on a sign and I had all my employees sign it. and we had it in every office. And that was our motto, for lack of a better term. And so we want to make sure that we stick to our side of the bargain. We want them to stick to theirs. So proper qualification comes in four main parts: that we have driver's license, good and valid and laminated.
Mhm.
That the driver between 21 and 25, and I say between, that the driver is over 21 or 25, depending on how you want to set your qualifications. That we verify insurance on every rental. Now, let's be candid. You're not going to be able to verify everybody's insurance. But if you make it a policy that you have to verify everybody's insurance, if you only get 9 out of 10, great.
Right.
Okay. And an acceptable method of payment, credit card or cash deposit. Neither David or I are fans of cash deposits
Mhm.
for folks that are just starting into business. We would recommend that the closest you get to cash deposits is a debit card.
Mhm.
Okay. Driver's license has to be valid. It's the first qualifier. You're going to hear things like, "Oh, come on! I just rented from you 2 days ago. You got a
Right.
copy of my driver's license, and I just didn't bring it with me." Can't help you, sir. That's when you go, Pace, need you to take David back to his apartment so he can get his driver's license.
Or if we're using a system that stores that information, I'd be able to go back to that and verify that it's no, why?
David, you want to handle that one?
I wouldn't store anything. All
Uh-huh.
right, that customer has to qualify every single time he walks in the door.
Mhm.
All right. There's also a thing called a setup. All right, where the customer rents from you enough times to where you
Right.
get to know each other just fine.
Right.
All of a sudden, he forgot his license
Uh-huh.
or he forgot his credit card. But don't worry about it. I'll be back tomorrow.
Right.
Those are what we call setups. And when that happens, I give you a 50-50 shot at not seeing your car back again.
And you've seen this setup happen in the industry.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
All the time.
That's
Wow.
right. All right.
Wow.
And so every single time, you got to remember that every single time you hand over the keys, you're giving someone your $30,000 car.
Right.
So you have a right to make sure who you're giving that car to.
Mhm.
All right.
And let's
And that
be-
they qualify each and every time. Now,
Right.
you have to understand, driver's license is a state law.
Mhm.
It's illegal for a rental operation to provide a vehicle to an unlicensed driver.
Mhm.
Even a car dealer has to see the license before he lets a car go off his lot.
Mhm.
All right, because he can't let the guy drive off if he doesn't have a license in most states. So what I suggest is, look, if this is an issue, don't blame yourself. It's not your policy, it's a state law.
Right.
So if they really have a complaint, my best suggestion is give them the governor's personal cell phone number. I'm sure the governor will take the call where he can bitch about the driver's license law. All right. So Steve, the best bet with all this, it's never you. It's
Right.
either your insurance company or the state law.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
but you personally would give them the shirt off your back.
Okay.
We all have to answer to a higher authority.
Right now, I see over here as well on the presentation part. So towards the bottom, it starts talking about moving violations, drunk driving, stuff like that. Is there a way, besides just looking at the license and seeing the expiration date, how do we check to make sure that it's not, that it hasn't been suspended, or what kind of violations he may have?
You don't want to.
I
David?
don't want to?
No, no, you don't want the history. You're opening up a Pandora's box. All right, if you have access to the customer's history, number one, you can't keep it on file. But number two, you have to set the criteria by which you're going to deny a rental.
Uh-huh.
Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that you establish the criteria that you will not rent to anybody with a DUI
Right,
more recently than 36 months.
right,
Okay, that's your policy. Now, a guy comes in and you really want to rent to him. He had a DUI 34 months ago. So now you say, well, I really want to rent to him. Good enough. All
right,
right, just 2 months off and you rent him the car. And
right,
he goes out and gets in an accident because of a DUI and he kills somebody.
right,
And that comes back to you. You violated your own rental policy by giving the man a car. You are now negligent,
Right.
and it's going to slap you right in the face. I don't know if you're aware of it, but in most states today, a bartender can be held liable for letting a customer get drunk in his facility
mhm.
and then driving off. So
So,
it's not all that different. So this is what happens. So we suggest that unless you can truly get their driver's history and you are willing to set these policies and take these risks, I wouldn't do it.
but then am I still opening myself to liability if somebody does come in and his license was suspended and I don't know, and he took the
No,
car and went
because,
out?
no, because you don't know. You
Uh-huh.
did,
Here's the deal.
your-
Remember, you got to see the license.
yeah, you did your due diligence. You
Okay.
saw the
That's-
license.
That's why when the guy comes in without his license, you can't rent to him because the
Right,
sheriff could
uh-huh.
have taken it away last night.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the other thing to follow up is that maybe you could get the driver's history for your state, but you're not going to be able to get it for New York or Connecticut or any of the other surrounding states. Some of the states won't do it unless you have a request in writing.
Uh-huh.
Some of them
Then-
want to charge $35 per request.
Right.
Some, it's just all over the place.
Mhm.
So we don't have access to this information that a lot of people ask for. And now we just tell you, we don't want it.
Right. Uh-huh.
Do
Okay.
your due diligence, see the license, it matches the driver, everything looks good, you're good to go.
Okay.
And that's the important thing. You have, I've had a lot of people say, well, what happens if I rent the car? The guy goes right to a bar, gets drunk and goes out and hurts somebody. Well, you know what? You can't ride in the back seat of every car.
Yeah,
So you
and
have,
that's
there's,
why you have $1 million coverage.
that's right.
Okay.
And they'll
Speaking of
defend-
coverage, I'd like to go off topic just for a moment.
Okay.
I've actually been having discussions with some insurance brokers. I actually have a friend of mine who does workers' comp and general liability.
Mhm.
I'm being told that general liability for a rental car company is not easy to come by.
That's correct.
No, it's not. That's why we got it for you.
No, the insurance that you got for us, that's general liability?
It's
That's-
general liability for the rental cars, but it's only in effect when the car is on a rental agreement.
Right, okay. So what happens what happens for my facilities themselves?
That's where you want to buy threshold insurance, just like a used car dealer.
It's threshold?
Threshold, if somebody comes onto the lot and trips and falls and,
Yeah,
they call it something different in just about every state, but that's basically what it is. It's lot insurance. That's in
Okay.
case somebody comes in and steals a car overnight.
yeah,
Or a classic example was we had one location that had its cars lined up along the road,
yeah,
and somebody hit a telephone pole and knocked it down, and it crushed a couple of the cars that were sitting on the front line.
yeah,
And his lot insurance took care of that.
So in the event, I know that if somebody takes a car and it gets stolen, or they themselves steal it and don't return it, we're not covered for that. But if somebody steals a car off the lot,
That's your lot.
That's
insurance
covered.
case. Mhm.
okay,
That's your threshold, yeah.
And it's usually called the garage liability, threshold liability, that
Okay.
kind of stuff.
so basically the three insurances that I need are the insurance that you have for the cars that we got through US Choice, workers' compensation, and this threshold insurance.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that would be your basic. Now, your threshold insurance usually comes wrapped in, the building fire and theft and,
Right.
wind and all that kind of stuff. It usually comes all wrapped into one policy.
okay,
So that if, perfect example, that telephone pole that I just talked about, if it fell on your building,
right,
okay, that same policy would take care of the car and that it crushed and the building.
okay,
All right. Let's talk about driver's licenses a little more. The physical description should fit the customer. The license should not expire during the time of rental. Did you contact Chris?
yes, we spoke yesterday.
Oh, good. Nice fellow, isn't he?
Very nice fellow.
Yeah.
Very, very knowledgeable.
Yep.
But I'll give you my honest opinion.
Please.
There's absolutely no bells and whistles attached to his system, which, many of the bells and whistles you don't need. So that's good. You don't have to pay for what you don't need.
Right.
But many of the things that many of the other providers today do include, obviously for a fee, they do not include. For example, the telematics part of it is not integrated with their system. The pictures of the cars is not integrated with the system. So for all of those, you have to start using other parties for that. So one of the decisions that me and Pacey are going to have to make once we get all of the information from all the different providers is, obviously going to be a price is going to be a big factor, but
Oh, yeah.
also what are the other items that are all inclusive that will make our life easier, whether or not they're included or we have to get it from another party.
Yeah. And it all depends on what you need.
Right.
And a lot of what you're asking would show on your website anyway. So
Right.
That's a good thought.
Right.
Chris's program is definitely not a lot of bells and whistles. It's a utilitarian program.
Yeah.
It does exactly what we need. It
Mhm.
tracks the rentals from start to finish, tells us how many dollars each car makes. It tells us how many dollars every blue car makes, every green car.
Right.
It breaks it down into ridiculous numbers.
Right.
But it's just strictly a rental management system
Right.
for
Right.
the front end. When
I have a
when
question.
you get close to comparing the groups, let me know.
Okay.
I have a question. Telematics is the new buzzword. And a lot of people are requesting telematics. I've been doing this for 45 years. So I'm trying to figure out, and Steve, maybe you can help. What is it with telematics that we get that we need?
Okay, so some of the things that I'm finding, not necessarily that you need, but they certainly could make things easier. There are certain telematics when you have that contraption, installed in your car. So when somebody returns a car, they drive up, they shut the motor. You turn the motor back on, whoever's accepting that return, you turn the motor back on, it automatically reads the mileage and the gas level of the tank. And that data real time gets uploaded into their rental agreement. So you don't even have to calculate manually. You don't even have to think about if you're charging them miles, how much you have to charge them for, or if you are charging them for gas, how much you have to charge them for. It automatically gets figured out and populated in their rental contract. That's one.
What
All right.
Number
unit,
two,
what
number
unit do you
two-
have to install into the car to do that?
yes, there's a piece that you have to install. The pieces cost money and you have to install them as well. So there's an installation charge with all of them. But at the end of the day, it does make things a little bit easier, especially when you start growing and you have multiple cars that you have to deal with regularly. That's one or two less things that you have to deal with.
Okay.
One of the other things as well, besides GPS tracking, is also what they're calling geo-mapping. So, for example, in our policy, technically, we're not supposed to have people driving into New York. So we can geo-map our system so that anytime anybody goes over the border into New York, we'll get alerted by it.
Mhm.
Then-
And what next?
And what?
Well, the point there is, I don't want to beat this dog to death, but the point of it is GPS or not, it doesn't matter whether it's telematics or a separate system. If you see the car went into New York, what can you do about it? You
So we'll
cannot charge the customer an extra fee because you saw they went into New York.
Right. So all that it can do for you is that this particular customer will be going into New York or may potentially go into New York if they're renting from you again. I don't know from an insurance perspective, if we know that the customer once went into New York, even though they, successfully returned without any accidents, do we need to be careful the next time we rent to them? I don't know. Again, maybe each new rental is new. Don't ask, don't tell. So we won't know. But at least for ourselves, we'll know that this is a customer that could potentially be a risk because they do take the cars often and go into New York. That's one. Also, we'll be alerted about where the car is. We can set it up. So it even sets up alerts so that in the event that something happens and you get a leak in an oil, it measures all of the fluid levels and sends alerts to us about fluid levels. It'll tell us if a customer automatically runs out of gas, not that we will run out wherever the guy is if they're 50 miles away and bring them a tank of gas. But if we see that a car is about to run out of gas, we'll get an alert. We can call the customer and tell them, by the way, we just got an alert. It might be helpful to just pull into a gas station. It's just added a little bit of added value of keeping ourselves and our customers perhaps informed about certain things that are happening with the cars.
Good. I just wanted to make sure you understood what you're getting with telematics.
Yeah, that I know it does even more than that, but that's at least
Yeah,
simplifies
and if
the things that we think are important.
That's right. And if it has the value to you, wonderful.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know if RentCentric or Navatar have all that, but I believe Navatar does.
Navatar has it. So far, it happens to be that Navatar, from what I'm seeing and all the others that I've spoken with, Navatar has, at least even for a startup company, one of the most simple, has some bells and whistles to it, but it's an all-inclusive. They'll even manage the website. They'll manage an app, a mobile app. They will, as far as the pictures of the car, they have that integration as well.
That's right.
They definitely are more expensive. So that's now one of the things we have to weigh, the expense against the other value add.
Yeah.
But they seem to have a very, very robust system.
Yeah,
I hear it's
Navatar,
pretty good.
Navatar, Bluebird, and one other, I forget the name of it, have merged
Yes,
into one company and they're changing the name. I forget what the name of it is.
Right.
But they put together the technology of all three.
right. And based on what I've gotten in the conversations, as well as what they had told me when I met with them in Vegas for the first time also, that it's giving now them the ability to be able to cater a specific type of service to either a small startup, a mid-sized type company, or a large fleet company.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
And you can seamlessly upgrade as you need as well.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, and candidly, those are all good reasons to make a decision.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
Okay.
let's go back to licenses.
Yeah.
All numbers must be complete and legible, and the license should have the state seal. Some states have two-part licenses. I don't know if any yet that still do, but I left that in there.
Okay.
Don't accept a temporary license,
Right.
and never accept a learner's permit.
Right.
You're going to get some phone calls. They want to rent a car so the junior can take his driver's test
Uh-huh.
because they don't have insurance on their car.
Mhm.
And so junior can't take his test. So they want to rent a car from you so junior can take his test. On the surface, geez, that's a good rental. You know, they're going
Right.
to have the instructor and add in the car with them.
Right.
No, he's not a licensed driver. Okay.
Right.
So you can't do that. If, and this, you were talking about if it lists moving violations and that, I would stay completely away from that. What's the old adage? Ignorance is bliss.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Active duty military. Check with your home state, the motor vehicle department,
Mhm.
for current requirements. But as a rule of thumb, people in the military, their driver's license will expire and can expire while they're on duty. Back in World War II, they passed federal legislation that when the returning soldiers came back, they did not have to take a driver's test. All they had to do was go in, show their orders and who they were, and the DMV would give them another license.
Right.
They didn't have to take another test. They didn't have to do a driver's test, nothing. That's still in effect.
Mhm.
So if they come in and they're active duty military and they want to rent a car from you and they have the proper credentials, just make sure that their driver's license is valid.
Right.
Okay. Their military driver's license does not count unless you're renting Humvees and Abram tanks.
Yeah.
Okay. International visitors. You got a hiccup here because your insurance states that everybody has to have liability.
Mhm.
So you're going to get an international visitor that's coming in. And I'm going to give you a procedure you need to think about. When you get a reservation for an international traveler, you want to make sure that they hit up a travel agent in their country and purchase liability insurance that they can drive in the United States with. Once they reach our shore, they can't buy it.
Mhm.
So it has to be bought in their home country. Now, let's talk about the driver's license. Can you read Korean?
No.
Oh, so if somebody comes in with a Korean driver's license, you can't read it.
Correct.
Okay, that's where you get an international driver's permit.
Right.
And so you want to see their international driver's permit and their home country license. So,
Right.
and the home country license is going to have their signature in their language.
Right.
Very important. I had a lady from Hong Kong ran up a $900 bill, put it on her American Express. She signed it in English. Joanne Lee or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay? She got back to Hong Kong. She called American Express and said, I don't know who this is.
Oh boy.
Charge it back.
Wow.
And I lost because she had signed it on a signature that was not on her driver's license.
Wow.
Well, that's why we check. And if I have an international visitor, I want them to sign my rental agreement
Right.
and any other documents with their legal name from their country.
Huh.
If they are from Saudi Arabia, they sign it in Farsi. If
Wow.
they're from Korea, they sign it in Korean. China and Japan, you can figure that out easy.
Wow. What happens though? What happens in a situation like with that woman from Hong Kong? The back of her American Express card is signed, and it is signed the same way that she signed your contract.
In that particular case, the back of her rental agreement was signed with her Chinese name
Wow.
in the Chinese.
And the credit card.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
all right.
long and the short, you got to watch for stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's signed the right way.
Right.
Also ask for a passport or a visa just to verify that the picture on the license is the same.
Mhm.
Because some people get a license for life. And it's the same with the driver's permit. They could have an international driver's permit and they came in from Europe and they bought it or they got it 25 years ago.
Mhm.
I look much better than I did 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just
We
looking around. making sure my
age
wife
better,
can
like
hear
we
that.
age better like fine wine.
I needed to make sure that my wife wasn't around. Anyway, so people change. So you want to make sure that it's the right person. You want to set your policy for age. When we set policies for age, there's also something that we're noticing as of late, and it's kind of gone away, but we were getting a lot of people saying, wait a minute, if they've got to be at least 21, where do we stop renting? Well, Sixt, the German company, decided it was 70.
Mhm.
And if you're over 70, you couldn't rent.
Mhm.
I think they've dropped that because, 70 is the new 50.
Right.
But still in all, I don't know if I want to cross that bridge until it's time to cross the Rainbow Bridge.
But then as well, can't
Huh?
you get involved in discrimination if somebody?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because I can see I can see David renting a car from you, and then I come in and rent a car from you, and I'm a couple years younger than David, only a
Yeah.
couple. But your agent on the counter goes, I'm sorry, you're over 70. We can't make a
Yeah.
rental. Whoa. Okay, lawsuit time.
Right. But as long as it's a policy that we stick with across the board, then that would be
That's it.
fine.
That's it. No exception.
Okay.
What I used to do is if the customer looked like he was able
Yeah.
and if he was alert, I was fine.
Yeah.
If I had any question, I would say, sir, I'm a little bit concerned about your safety.
Mhm.
Let's hop in the car and take it around the block.
Mhm.
All right, now in a busy store, that's quite a process, but we did it.
Mhm.
And if the guy seemed like he was fine driving the car, I didn't care what age he was.
Mhm.
I mean, I've run into 90-year-old guys that are sharper than me when I was 50.
There you go.
So, that's the way I did it, and it worked for me.
Okay.
But like I say, if he seems like he's alert and he's walking around fine in your office, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Having an insurance card. It seems that the easy way out for verifying insurance is to make sure the guy or gal has an insurance card. Well, I got to tell you, I can go and get an insurance card this afternoon and not make my second payment on my insurance, and it gets canceled. But I
Right.
still have the insurance card, and it's good for 6 months. All right. So having an insurance card, the only reason I would want it is so that I can call the 800 number and verify that they have liability.
Mhm.
Method of payment. most rental car companies require a major credit card.
Mhm.
We suggest you should obtain an approval for a charge of at least 115% of the expected rental, including your deposit. We've gone one step farther. We want you to charge 115% of the rental, or to do it easier, the rental plus your deposit,
Mhm.
and take the money now.
Mhm.
Whether the customer is going to use a debit card or a credit card, I don't care, as long as I got the money. And then, Mr. Jones, I'll give you the money back when you bring the car back, to make, as long as there's the right amount of fuel and no additional charges.
What about on a insurance rental?
Same thing. Doesn't change.
Charge
Perfect
it to the
example.
customer,
Here's an
charge it to the
example.
customer, and then when they return it, return the entire amount, except, and then just wait for the insurance company to pay. Okay,
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Now, what happens, if I could jump in, what happens in one of those cases? I have a lot of operators that say, look, it's an insurance rental, I don't need a deposit. Okay. What happens if the insurance expires on the 28th and they don't return the car until the 1st?
Mhm.
All right, happens a lot.
Mhm.
Body shop calls the customer, your car's ready. Insurance pays through today.
Mhm.
The guy doesn't show up till after the weekend. Now you got 3 or 4 days use on your car. How are you gonna get paid?
Mhm.
You gotta ask for the money. And then you got an argument. The insurance company paid, and then you gotta go through the whole process.
Right.
All right, the other thing that happens is they come back with an empty tank of gas. For some people, they seem to think that if the insurance company is gonna pay for it, they get free gas.
Right.
And that's not true. They gotta
Right.
pay for the gas.
Right.
Any options on the rental, they have to pay for.
Mhm.
Insurance won't pay for any options whatsoever.
Mhm.
In fact, in many cases, they don't even pay the sales tax.
They will not pay sales tax in most cases.
So you have to collect the sales tax. So these are reasons why you want to take a deposit to get upfront of the possible occurrence.
Mhm.
You never want to be asking for money when a customer returns. You want to be returning money
Mhm.
when the customer returns. That way customer's happy, you got money back.
Mhm.
But if when he returns, you're asking for money, that's not happy.
It's not a happy
Doesn't
camper.
make anybody happy.
Right.
And so you want to avoid these problems at the counter.
So if a customer, for some reason, has an open balance after they return the car, are we required to either take the card back and run it for the additional amounts, or just run it on the card? And do we have to ask them specifically, is it okay if we charge this to your card?
Of course. Yeah, it's just as simple, like you still owe, we got everything here, but you kept it a couple extra days. And you owe me $18.27. You want me to put that on the card, or you want to give it to me in cash?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay, very
Okay.
simple. Consider allowing credit card customers to make extensions over the telephone, but only after you take the payment.
Mhm.
All right. So if the guy calls up and says, I want to keep the car for an extra day, no problem, sir. Hold on. Let me make sure I can, that your card goes through. And then take the payment.
And then what do I do in terms of the contract? Whatever software I'm using, I would just go into that reservation and add another day to it.
Yeah,
correct?
you go into that contract and change the return date. Yeah,
Okay.
and it'll calculate and tell you how much to charge.
Okay.
All right. Debit cards. I just treat them as credit cards
Mhm.
because I'm taking the cash up front. And I'm going to take the cash and I'm going to take the deposit up front. So I have no quarrel with taking a debit card. The majors do not.
Mhm.
So you may want to, like if there's a Hertz local edition or a dollar rent a car in your town,
Uh-huh.
you might want to go over and ask them, do you guys take debit cards? They're more likely going to say no, because it's at manager's discretion.
Right.
And if they say, no, we don't, say, well, we do. So if you get a customer that comes in with a debit card, give me a call. I'll take care of the reservation
Ah.
for you. Okay.
Yep.
Cash deposit rentals. There's a whole section here on cash deposits. When do you think, David, he should start taking cash deposits? David?
Me?
Yeah. When?
Oh, not after about a year
Yeah.
of experience.
Yeah.
Get to understand your customers, understand the business. Jump through a couple of hoops in this business before you go cash deposit.
Mhm.
And there's a
I could
whole
go on and
thing.
on. The thing about cash deposit is this: it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's where the majority of the problems in this business pop up, is when you've got a customer that does not have a credit card. Now, there's a lot of good people out there that never bought into the credit card process, and you'll be able to tell that. But today, with credit cards being so easy to get, why would somebody not have one?
Mhm.
It could be a divorce, it could be a bankruptcy, a lot of different things. But the point is, you have nothing to tell you that this customer can maintain or get credit.
Mhm.
And you're going to give them a $30,000 car. I don't understand that transaction. All right. Because I've got absolutely no security, but maybe a couple $100.
Mhm.
And that's some of these guys that are not so straight. We'll see that.
Mhm.
In other words, something went wrong in Tom's River. My family is in Dallas. I don't have the money to fly. I got to move all my stuff. All right. I don't have the money to rent a truck. So I'm going to come get your car for one day, give you $200, load the thing up with my stuff and head off for Dallas.
Mhm.
Don't think they don't know that.
Mhm.
All right. Now you'll get your car back, but it's going to be in a parking lot in Dallas.
Right.
And that's one of the issues you bump into with credit card or non-credit card rentals. So that's just one, but that's why we want to be so cautious. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Set your rental policies. Confirm that your staff knows it. Make sure everybody, we had our policies and procedures in a little manual that we put together, and then we would give everybody a copy of it. And then we would have them sign a piece of paper that they read and understood our
Mhm.
policies and procedures. Confirm your staff knows the rental policies so that they can present a professional service to the customer. Clarify your office hours and know the action a customer should take if he expects to be returning the rental after hours. Personally, I don't like after hours drops, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Set your geographic restrictions for the use of the vehicle. Always ask in advance where the customer will be traveling with the rental car. Advise the customer of your approved or geographic restrictions and note it on the contract. Set your policies for any exceptional circumstances, such as flat tire, accidents, stolen vehicles, that kind of stuff. Make sure that or realize that everybody has to know that you have a rental period of 30 days. Anything past that time becomes a long-term lease,
Mhm.
making sure that a long-term rental is written within the 30 days, and you do new contracts for each one.
That's even if a particular month, they want to rent it for a month. If the month has 31 days, on
Right.
day 29, we should really rewrite the rental,
Well,
even
that's
if
why
it's
we
just for 2
suggest
days.
that you do rates for daily, weekly, and 4-week discount.
Okay,
Okay, so you don't rent the car for a month; you rent the car for 4 weeks.
right, okay,
That gives you an extra couple days to get a hold of the
Right.
customer.
okay.
Okay. Have all the information on file in previous rentals to save the customer time and expedite the rental. That's a great idea. You may want to allow your counter agents to write the rental agreement ahead of time.
Mhm.
However, always be sure to check the license and other documents. Remember, it may have expired since the last rental.
Mhm.
Okay. Find out from your insurance carrier all the restrictions that apply to customers in the vehicles you rent.
Mhm.
Research the state's laws and tax requirements for any that may apply to your business and add them to your policies and procedures.
Mhm.
Telephone selling and qualifying at the counter. You want me to do this one, David, or you want to take a shot at it?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it.
Go ahead.
I enjoy the process.
Yeah.
All right. Whether you are doing marketing or not, social media or not, none of that really matters. Most of your business is going to start with a telephone call.
Mhm.
Even with the best even with the best website you can have, people are going to call you. We get it all the time. All right. And they'll ask, a stupid question because they don't know what to ask.
Mhm.
All right. So you got to be prepared for it. So obviously we want to have a good telephone line. We don't want to be doing business on a cell phone if at all possible. All right. But the important part is that you have to understand that it's got to be handled professionally. All right. Your enterprise guy will understand that, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But we don't want to be, we've already went through the telephone process. We don't want to be answering the phone. Door leasing. All right.
Mhm.
That stuff will turn the customer off immediately, especially where you are marketing to a specific clientele
Mhm.
in a specific area. They have certain expectations on the way you're going to handle the conversation, and you want to hold to that.
Mhm.
All right. The other thing is you want to ask qualifying questions. In other words, when you go to book an airfare, how many questions do you usually need to go through in order to book the airfare?
Mhm.
Where are you going from? Where are you going to? When do you want to go? Morning, afternoon? How many people in your party, etc.
Mhm.
You get me?
Mhm.
So we want to do something similar in the car rental business when we get these questions. Then what are they going to ask? How much are your cars? Do you have cars for rent? Do you have a car available? They don't know what to ask, Steve. So you want to take control of the conversation, even if they walk in. You want to take control of the conversation and ask a certain number of questions so that you understand what you're dealing with.
Mhm.
So that then you can quote a rate if you want the rental, or you can turn them down softly if you don't want the rental.
Mhm.
And one of the things you might ask, I said, do you have any cars available? Sure. Are you and the additional drivers over 25?
Mhm.
Okay, they'll answer it. Well, I'm 43 and there's no additional driver. Wonderful. Now you know.
Mhm.
You're talking to a 43-year-old man or woman with no additional driver.
Mhm.
Okay, you're going to be using the car locally or going out of town? No, just around Tom's River while my car's being repaired. Fine. Now you know. Local rental. You're not worried about New York or Canada or whatever.
Mhm.
All right. Now, what if they say, oh no, we're local. We're just going to run over to New York, Long Island, probably, maybe hang around Manhattan, see the
Mhm.
sights. Now you know.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, sir. What major credit card will you be using? Well, I'll be using my Sears card. Okay. Well, sir, we don't accept Sears card. Do you have Do you have a Visa card? Oh, yeah, we can use that. All right, now you know it's a Visa card. But what if they say, do you take cash deposit? You get me? So right away, you're gonna know this stuff.
Mhm.
Now, how long do you need the car? Because you want to know this. Are you talking about a monthly rate? You're talking about a weekly rate? The guy wants the car for 2 or 3 days. How long do you need the car? Oh, I just need it for 2 days. Okay. All right. So now coming down, when would you want to pick up the car? Because now this is important. Does he want it today? Does he want it on Friday? Today is, I believe, Wednesday. All right. Now, you know everything you need to know.
Mhm.
The customer is 43, no additional drivers. All right, you know that the customer is going to be local, screwing around in Manhattan, maybe out to Long Island.
Mhm.
All right, or not. You know what credit card they want to use. They offered a Sears card, meaning they're not too intelligent, but they do have a Visa. All
Mhm.
right. And they want to pick up the car, let's say on Friday.
Mhm.
Let's say that you don't want the rental. Because this is where you find out what they want to do and you decide if you want to do it or not.
Right.
Maybe they're asking for a full-size car to take a trip to Orlando.
Right.
You could say you'll love Orlando in November, or you could decide you don't want the rental. How are you going to do it? The best way to do it, very comfortably, don't lie. Don't tell wild stories. All right. We've all been there. Just say, I'm sorry, sir. I just don't have a car for you.
Mhm.
All right. And let me give you a number of a car rental that might be able to help and give them 800 Enterprise. All right. Because you don't want the rental that's going to be in Manhattan. You don't want the rental that's going to go to Orlando. Maybe you do. But you know what they want to do. I know I'm going on and on. The key is, Steve, you know what they want to do, and then you make the decision if you want to let them, we want the rental or not. I'm sorry, sir, I just don't have a car for you. Here's a number for Enterprise, give them a call.
Mhm.
If you're comfortable, all right, now you got to close the deal. Because again, the customer won't know what to do next. All right, so you have to ask for the business, and the best way to do it, I've said, okay, Mr. Smith, you want the car on Friday? We're very busy on Friday, so I better take a reservation for you. That's how you're asking for the sale.
Okay, so let me ask you this hypothetical question. Somebody calls, you go through the whole process with them, and for whatever the reason is, you want to turn them down, and you say, I'm sorry, I don't have a car for you today. Let's say hypothetically, this is a vindictive customer or potential customer, and they then go onto your website and they see that cars are available. What's to
Well,
keep them
yeah,
from
you
making
didn't, you
a
didn't
no-show
say,
reservation?
now here again, you didn't say you didn't have any cars available. And you didn't say anything like that. You said you didn't have a car for him.
Right, for today. Right,
Well, you don't have to
or
say,
whenever.
yeah, if he's asking for a car today, you just don't have a car available
Right, okay.
for him. I don't have a car for you today. Or if it's Friday, I'm sorry, sir, I won't have a car for you on Friday. You get me? That's the easiest way to do it. Is everything perfect? No, because we're dealing with people. All right, but it has worked a lot better for me than anything else I ever came up with.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you say, oh, our cars are broken down, well, that's not a very good image.
right.
All right, or they're all on reservation, and then he sees you got 20 cars sitting on the lot, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't have a car for you. Give them the phone number of another company. And that has worked for me
Mhm.
for years. And I think it's worked for Jim also, because he was doing much the same thing.
Mhm.
Little different words. But again, remember, nothing is perfect, Steve,
Right.
but that's about as good as it's going to get.
Okay,
Ask for the reservation. All right. And if he's not ready to commit, he'll let you know. Okay, I'll call you back. Okay, fine. All right. But if he's close to it, you say, sir, we need to take a reservation for you for Friday because we're very busy. That's going to push him into committing.
Mhm.
So you've asked for the sale, he's willing to commit. All right. And now you just process the information. Again, name, address, credit card number, etc.
Mhm.
And you're processing a reservation. So you got to remember, it all happens one at a time, one phone call at a time, but that's the way it's going to happen. The other thing that we do, Jim has been a lot more direct on this than I used to be, but it works. What's your nearest, what's your address in your nearest cross street? Okay, well, here's the address, and the cross street is Bird and Anderson. I'll tell you what, I got a guy that's not busy right now. I'll send him right over and pick you up
Mhm.
if the guy wants the car today. I'll send him right over and pick you up. Oh, really? You do that? Yes, sir. I'll be happy to do that. You ready in about 10 minutes? Well, yeah, okay, I'll send him over.
Mhm.
He'll be in a purple Dodge. All right. Okay, you got it. His name is John. Don't be afraid of him, you know, and send him right over, pick him up, bring him to the office. On the way to your office, the customer may ask at this point in time, by the way, what am I paying for this rental? I have picked him up, and so has Jim. Picked him up and never discussed rate.
Mhm.
All right. And it just seems that if you ask for the business and you're friendly and you're reasonable, direct without being nasty, friendly, direct, you're solving a problem for the customer. The customer has a problem. He needs a car
Right,
for one thing or another, and he wants it today.
right.
You solve the problem, and he doesn't have to worry about how to get to your store to get the car because you got a man on the way to pick him up. All right. Once he gets there, of course, your rates are reasonable. And 9 times out of 10, I've never had an issue with a customer.
And in a situation like that, most customers like that as well. The extra $10 or $20 that they might pay over and above somebody else is not going to make that difference to them because they're getting
No,
exactly what.
not at all. Not at all.
Remember, you're solving their issue.
Right, right.
That's right. All right, so that's the way it works the best. Now, it seems like a process,
Yeah,
but it's not. It's only a process if you think it's a process. But once you've done it a few times, it's very simple and it comes naturally.
right.
All right. When do you want the car? Everybody over 21? Are you going to be local or stay out of or go out of town? What credit card will you be using? Bang, you're done. It's that simple. You can't book an airline ticket that simple. You can't book a hotel that simple. You're going to have to ask your questions. All right. And you think that it's simple, actually call the Res Center for American Airlines.
Oh,
Don't do it online.
Mhm.
You're going to be on the phone for 20 minutes
At least, yeah, I've done that.
trying to book a air ticket. All right. So don't be afraid of it. It works.
I'll tell you, one of the competitors, so-called local competitors that we're going to be competing against. I had actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for a van and they do red vans. I called them at about 11 o'clock in the morning and their answering machine came on and it said, if we're not picking up, it means we have no more cars available for the day.
Okay. I'm glad that's my competitor.
Exactly,
I'll do anything I can to keep them in business.
exactly.
All right.
A, it was good to hear that they're all sold out on their cars.
Yeah,
And B, that this is who we're competing with in terms of customer service.
yeah, that's right. I have had an issue just to take just a minute here on something like that. I used to pay attention to my rental counter. Now, In operations I've run, we might have 6 or 8 rental agents working at the same time. And the counter would have 6 or 8 windows, et cetera. But even though we didn't have windows, it was face to face.
Mhm.
And I would always hang around my front counter and just listen. And there was one time, and it's happened more than once, but there was one time I heard one of my rental agents say, "No, sir, I'm sorry." And it happened again, and it happened again. And I'm saying, now, wait a minute. I don't understand in any car rental I've run where we have to say, "No, sir, I'm sorry." Because if they're over 21, I want a shot at them. So what's going on here? Well, after a while, I got tired of it and I asked one of the other employees, long story as to how I got there, what's happening with Mildred here that's always this no? Oh, no, don't worry about her. She's just not in the mood to make a rental.
Uh-huh.
So customers are calling. Do you have any cars available? No, sir, I'm sorry, we don't. Do you rent to under 25? No, sir, I'm sorry, we don't. She's just turning away the business because she's not in the mood to make a rental.
Right.
What I'm saying, I'm wondering if that girl left me and went to work at your competitor. And just put the phone on the answering machine because she was not in the mood to do any business.
Right.
They
Right.
will do it. I used to say that employees, if you're not careful, employees figure that they're paid just to be there. They're not paid to do anything. All right,
Right.
so your base pay is just to get them there. You have to pay them separately to actually do anything. Okay, we're talking about Kamala Harris here.
Yes.
Oh, how'd that happen?
You did it.
I did it. I did it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now we're talking about your sales for yesterday.
There we go.
There we
All
go.
right, now we're back to it. So anyhow, don't forget to take the phone numbers on reservations in case something comes up. Let's say you want to confirm a reservation that was made for 2 weeks ago. All right. And you want to handle this paperwork is anytime you're doing something relative to the rental counter, you want to make sure you do it clear enough so that when someone else has to handle the project, they know exactly what's going on.
Mhm.
Okay. And you'll be doing some business and then handing it to your guy that's running the business. Make sure you're giving him the information he needs to do the job properly. All right. You'd be surprised some of the mistakes that can happen that way. Oh, you didn't tell me the customer expected to be picked up at 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
All right. And the customer's calling at 10:30 saying, "Where are you?"
Mhm.
Okay. That does happen. And I want you to remember, you made a promise. When you take a reservation, that customer thinks that that's set in stone.
Right.
All right. Unlike what you might have seen on Seinfeld.
You know how to take the reservation, but you don't know how to keep the reservation.
Right.
That's happened to me. I've used that line at car rental counters.
Okay, good for you. I am very guilty of eating reservations. All right, and it's very commonplace in a huge operation because you figure about 30% no-show. So you'll overbook
Right.
your reservations by 30%. And then if no-shows drop to 10%, you got a lot of people there that you can't service.
Right.
In Hawaii, we used to put them in the bus and send them to their hotel.
Uh-huh.
And then when a car came available, we would deliver the car to the hotel.
Right.
Talk about a management nightmare.
Right. Sure.
We were in management nightmare and panic probably 5 days a month. Okay, so remember, that's it. So now, let's say the customer, and this stuff is you already understand. Let's say a customer books a car for a compact on a Friday for the weekend. And he gets there and you don't have a compact. What are you going to do? but you got a full-size car.
Mhm.
You're gonna give them the full-size car for the reserved price. You get me?
Yep.
You honor the rate that was quoted.
Yeah.
Even if you have to give them a minivan for the compact price, you have to honor that reservation and give them a free upgrade if you don't have the car available. We've done that for 40 years. And if you try to upgrade him or turn him down at that time, you've now become Enterprise Rent-A-Car
Right. Right.
because they do it. And in some offices, they'll say, I'm sorry, Mr. DeVore, but we don't have a compact available. Have a seat and we'll give you the first one that checks in.
Mhm.
And after you sit there for 10 or 15 minutes, which seems like 2 hours,
Mhm.
they'll say, Mr. DeVore, I'm sorry for the wait. I do have a full-size car I can give you for just an extra $15 a day.
Mhm.
And that's what they do. And now you're so upset, you're going to take anything. And that's why you don't want to go back to Enterprise. And that's why we can compete with Enterprise quite well
Right.
in most cities. Okay. Manual tracking, a 1 to 31 file works fine. Put together a reservation card for yourself. We have a sample of a reservation form in the back of the manual.
Mhm.
You could print. I think we've got 2 on a page. Print, copy, have them available. You can certainly make your own, but that's a good manual format to start. Computer tracking is of course a better way. You're going to get what we call a manifest, which is a list of reservations.
Mhm.
Don't expect a whole lot more than that. But you should be pulling your manifest every day for tomorrow. All right. Or later on. There were times I could pull a res manifest for 6 months in advance,
Mhm.
which was very commonplace in Hawaii, and start tracking it. I would caution you, while we're on this topic though, I would not get so involved with software that you let the software confirm a reservation for a car without your involvement.
Right.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Don't confirm reservations automatically,
Uh-huh.
because it's very possible you could have something special going on in your town that you may not even know about.
Uh-huh.
And you're just fine today, and you open up tomorrow and you've got 35 reservations and you got 2 cars,
Uh-huh.
because the computer doesn't know when to stop taking reservations unless you tell it.
Uh-huh.
So it just keeps banging them out. Now, what are you going to do?
But a lot of this software, if a reservation is made and a car is booked for that reservation, it comes out of the inventory and it doesn't even allow you to overbook.
That's right. And then the customer doesn't show.
Right. Then you have a no-show.
Right. So you got a no-show. And when are you going to find out about that? All right. Also, you can't take a walk-up rental. All right.
Right.
If these things are booking your cars automatically.
Uh-huh.
And you won't know. Every time you turn around, you're going to have to go to that reservation system to see if you can rent a car today.
Right.
All right.
I
So-
think, let me interject something here.
Yeah.
I think what is happening is the software companies today are being run by programmers.
Mhm.
And the software companies, and I'm talking about rental management software,
Mhm.
it's being run by people that enjoy telemetrics. they enjoy things. I'm saying I can't reach for the right word.
Right.
They like toys. And a lot of what gets thrown into some rental management software, especially when it comes to reservations, doesn't pertain to the local car rental company. Because the people that are running those companies are not car rental people.
Right.
Right.
Their exposure to the car rental business has been airports and renting cars and making it fast and speeding up the work. And the reason I bring this up is in the local car rental business, you might have 3 cars available today. Okay. And a customer makes a reservation and the software picks it. Well, the software doesn't know if you don't want that car to go that far.
Right.
And
the software does not qualify the customer.
no, and it doesn't qualify the customer.
Right.
So for the local market, and we gotta understand where we're going with this. I've got 300,000 cars. If I make a mistake, I can spread that over 300,000 cars. So you know what? Book everybody that's warm and breathing. And if they can fog a mirror, give them the keys. All right. Because if we have an issue, I can spread it over 300,000 cars.
Right.
In the neighborhood, I've got 30 cars. If we make a mistake that can cost us a lot of money, I got to spread it over 30 cars.
Right.
Or reach into my kick and come up with the rest of the money. So it's a different, I don't want to say different attitude. It's a different industry. Now, you had mentioned about the telemetrics and how important all that was. Yeah. But it's not going to make you any more money. So be careful. It's the same thing with taking reservations on the fly, is what I like to call them. You're taking reservations through your website. You don't know who's going to show up at the counter. And so you haven't qualified the people. And you're creating stress at the counter that you don't need.
Yeah, because he has a confirmed reservation in his hand.
And he's going to be jumping up and down mad if you don't give him the car.
Damn right.
So
Damn right.
at the airport, you know what? I don't really care. Give me one shot at everybody.
No, we don't care.
But in the neighborhood, when you treat a customer that way and just chase him out the door, he's going to tell 5 people. At the airport, they're going to tell 5 people, but they don't care.
No, we don't care.
So that's the big thing. I like the fact that the industry is sliding towards less, and I hate to say this, towards less human involvement. But
it's true.
In the neighborhood, not so much. Now, when you get up to 300,000 cars, Steve, have at it. Okay. So
I hear
that's
it.
my opinion. Opinions are like noses. Everybody's got one.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's a very good point that Jim is making. Technology is taking the humanity out of it. At the airport, we just don't give a damn, never did, never will. 45 years airport operations, not one time did we care if someone was ever going to come back.
Yeah.
We were too busy taking care of everybody that was there.
Right.
We also never took reservations for a specific car, so we never allowed the software to do that. We were taking reservations on a rate. All right. You made a reservation for a $29.95 car, that's what I'm going to give you. All right. But like we said earlier, that they don't qualify a customer. So you come in, the guy wants to take the car to Los Angeles and back in 5 days, and you're gonna turn them down. Now you gotta fight at the counter, like Jim mentioned.
Right.
And you're trying to avoid humanity and causing problems at
Right.
the same time.
Yeah.
In the
I hear
local market, especially in your market, Steve, you want face-to-face, you want to make friends, you want the people to come back over and over. And so watch for the places that can cause hiccups.
Right.
Okay.
And that brings us to the next level, which we're really talking about is the customer experience.
Right.
Mhm.
Focus on the customer when they're at the counter. Give the customer your undivided attention. Maintain eye-to-eye contact and a warm smile. Carefully listen while he states his needs and desires. How many times have we gone to the store to buy something and the kid behind the counter that's taking the money doesn't even look at you?
Yeah.
You know, you're handing them a couple of shirts that you're going to buy,
Right.
and they don't even look up. They just type it in and say, "Okay, I need your card," and that's it. So we are in a people business that happens to rent cars.
Mhm.
So if we want to build our business locally, we want those 5-star reviews,
Mhm.
especially when we're going to do most of our business on social media.
Mhm.
And they will destroy you on social media in a heartbeat. So now let's get rid of the distractions inside the office. Make sure that any non-customer transactions or distractions cease. Radio, turn it off. TV, turn it off or down. You could have a Pace is talking to your employee about whose turn it is to buy sandwiches.
Mhm.
Okay, while you're talking to a customer. And let's get really silly for a minute. I don't know if Pace can speak Hebrew, but if he's speaking to somebody in Hebrew, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't speak Hebrew. So all I know is he could be saying, look at Shelburne, he looks fat in those pants, doesn't he?
Mhm.
And that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
All right. So are they talking about me? Are they talking about, oh my God, you're going to give him that car? Oh, I wouldn't give him that car. Oh, no. No, what they're talking about is who's going to buy the next sandwich.
Right.
So when there's a customer at the counter, everybody's got to leave. You got to go in the back room. You got to go outside, anything. Take any conversation away from the counter, unless it's between the rental agent and the customer.
The customer, that's it.
And get acquainted. Use their name and be professional.
Right.
Don't use. When I first moved here to South Carolina, I thought New Yorkers talk fast because I'm originally from upstate New York and we go
Right.
fast. Okay. Although at upstate New York, we didn't go as fast as people in New York City.
Right.
Well, when I moved in down here, I started hearing things like, so you doing today? Huh? He was saying, so how you doing today? Okay. The other thing, did you get the pickup fit? I can't even do it. Did you get the pickup truck fixed yet? Came out like one word. Okay. Again. And then they don't shop with shopping carts, they shop with buggies. And they don't drink out of a drinking fountain, they drink out of a bubbler. All right. So the South is different. So,
Excuse me, 1 second, Jim.
yeah.
If someone from the South says, bless your heart, that's an absolute insult.
Really?
What they're meaning to say is screw you.
Yes. Yes.
That's funny.
That's true.
And it is true.
Yeah.
It is. You'll hear him say, bless his heart.
Yeah, right.
I think I've come across that a couple of times.
Yeah, if you do,
Okay.
it
there
was
you
not
go.
a
I have to
compliment.
go back to those conversations.
Yeah, they are not giving you blessings. Okay.
No, No.
Use courteous and non-discriminatory language. Don't talk about CDW. Talk
Mhm.
about damage waiver.
Mhm.
Okay. Avoid using internal lingo, like anything to do with the cars. All right. Make sure you're talking in a language that they can understand.
Mhm.
Making a good rental does not mean getting a high
Excuse me
rate.
just a minute.
Go ahead, Dave.
Mhm.
Making a good rental does not always mean getting a high rate. Making a good rental begins with making a good contract,
Mhm.
creating a meeting of minds with you and the customer, and making a good return.
Mhm.
That's a good rental. Like I said earlier, we're in a real simple business. I'll rent you a car at a fair price. It'll be good and clean and dependable.
Mhm.
All I want you to do is bring it back the way I gave it to you and, oh, I don't know, pay my bill. Okay. So making a good rental does not always mean getting a high rate. A good contract begins with accurate information, no blank spaces, reliable contract information. And even with today's software program, you may not be getting all the information you need.
Mhm.
You want to get as much information from the customer. A couple of things to think about, which we didn't talk about during the contract session.
Mhm.
You want to make sure that when you go with your software company, make sure that they custom write on the contract, in the event of an accident, you must immediately report it to the police.
Mhm. I'm just writing this down.
Okay. Now, I got to tell you, that's going to cause some issues because we got less and less police out there, and the ones that are out there are working to contract, and that's it.
Right.
So unless somebody's dead or dying at an accident scene, they're not coming out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to explain to the customer that in the event of an accident here in this state, you have to report it immediately to the police. Now, if the police say they're not going to come out, then you got to go to them.
Mhm.
And they're going to say, whoa, I don't, that's not my problem. Yeah, it is. You're the one that had the accident. Okay. And now in making a good rental, I'm letting the customer know what his responsibilities are if there is an accident.
Right.
The next thing that I might want to say is that, the car is only allowed to go here, there, and everywhere.
Mhm.
Okay. And by the way, Mr. Jones, your total comes to 300 with the deposit. Your 1-day rental with the deposit is $311.27. And I charged your credit card. Here's your receipt.
Mhm.
So that when he goes out the door, he knows exactly what he's paid.
Mhm.
Now he's going to stop you and say, what do you mean 311? Well, it's $100 for the rental, $250 plus tax and so on. And here's your total. Oh, okay. And I get that 250 back when I bring the car back? Yep, as long as you don't redesign a fender or a door. Okay, good. See you, bye. And so when he comes back in and Pace is closing out the rental agreement,
Mhm.
he can say, look, Steve always makes a good rental, so I don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
But if he sees it was me, he goes, oh, Shellberg, he skipped so many steps. Here we go. So he's ready to go into a battle with a customer because I didn't tell him that it was $311.27.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's all part of making a good rental. And we're talking about a walk around when the car goes out. Today, we have the advantage of these things. Okay.
Mhm.
We have the advantage of these things. This, by the way, the largest, we used to have Kodak,
Mhm.
which was the largest manufacturers of telephones
Right.
or of
Of cameras
The largest manufacturer of cameras today.
for the cell phone manufacturers.
Thank you. And they're better quality than we ever
Right.
got out of
Right.
Kodak. That's what put Kodak out of business. They
Yeah.
didn't step up to the pump. So the delivery, the walk around, everybody's got a cell phone. So what I suggest is everybody goes out and walks around the car with the customer. Now, we talked about the dots on the tires and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. You want to do the walk around with your cell phone and take a video as you're walking around. And as you're talking to the customer, you're also recording what you're telling them.
Mhm.
And you walk around the car front and back, point out the little dings and dents that are there. Just don't, I understand that we're going to have normal wear and tear, but just don't redesign a fender or a door
Mhm.
while you have it. And then I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to take a picture of the dashboard. I got the mileage and the fuel right there and then.
Mhm.
And I can go in and upload that to my computer and save it on a hard drive.
Mhm.
All right. And do the exact same thing when the car comes back.
Mhm.
So now it's all done. And how long does it take? Just to walk around to the car. I don't even have to carry that little slip that we've got there with the marking down dings and dents. Don't have to.
Right.
Okay. And then I can upload the two of them and put them side to side in the computer if there is a discrepancy. And I didn't spend any more money doing that. And I've also done a good product demonstration because the car's running, it's ready to go down the street. The air conditioner is on or the heater is turned on, the radio's turned off. Now the customer can get in the car and he's not going to be adjusting controls or anything while he's pulling out. Now, they don't do this at the airport.
Right. I've experienced that to the point where it's left an impression that as soon as I've gotten into the car, I've had to start readjusting everything properly.
Exactly. I
I
got to-
always say, please take a moment and show them how to use the windshield wipers and the lights.
Right.
I've been trapped with that.
Right.
And your cars are probably different from what this person has driven.
Right.
You won't have a clue. All right. So that's very important. I've had problems with that personally and with renters with that issue. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got to the point where when I rent at the airport, they just say the car is in slot 5C and the key
Right.
on the dashboard and just write down the damage.
Right.
I write down missing front bumper, no spare tire, burn holes in all the seats,
Mhm.
missing right rear door. Okay. Smashed windshield. I write all this stuff down on that slip.
Mhm.
And then I drive up to Jose, and all Jose does is look at the number on the slip and the number on the car. He initials it, see you bye.
Right.
And off I go.
Right.
When I brought only once in all the traveling I've done, have I brought the car back and handed the guy the keys, and he's looking at the slip going, wait a minute. I don't understand this. Oh, that's right. I had some repairs done. Let me go get the repair
Right.
order. And I stopped and I said, no. I said, nobody checked out the car.
Mhm.
So I wrote down all that stuff and nobody cares.
Mhm.
And I have even gone so far as mailed my checkout slip to the manager of that location.
Mhm.
Never heard a word.
Mhm.
Okay. So they don't care because they've already factored in all of that into the price of the car.
Right.
That's why they're thrilled. And I don't know if it was you that David had told, but they are over the top thrilled if they can make $7 per car per month at Hertz.
Really.
That's
about all they've ever made. Yeah, and that's an improvement over the $14 loss per car that they've been taking.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and if you think about it, they got 700,000 cars or whatever they got times
Right.
$7. They made a lot of money every month.
Right. Right.
And they can pay all the managers and everybody these huge bonuses on $7 a car.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we don't do business in the neighborhood the way they do at the airport. It's a
Right.
disaster.
Right.
Okay, proof in the punch, when COVID hit, Hertz didn't have the cash reserves
Right.
to sustain it. They had to file bankruptcy.
Right.
They couldn't even pay rent.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay. So keeping that in mind, we're doing it different. We're going to walk around the car. We're going to show the customer how it works. We're going to do a product demonstration. By the way, and it doesn't have to be Monster. I'll tell you what I used to say. Here's where you turn the lights on and off.
Mhm.
The heater and defroster, pretty much self-explanatory. And the radio controls are like just about any other radio.
Right.
This is where the power windows are. Don't put your elbow on this. You'll lock yourself out of the car. That's the power door lock. Okay. And the seat adjuster is here. Have a good time. And by the way, I got the rental agreement in my hand. You're due Friday at 1 o'clock.
Mhm.
Thanks for coming in. I'll see you soon. Okay, that's a good product demonstration. They now know what I expect of them. And I've even said, made jokes. Just don't design a fender or door while you got it, okay? That kind of
Right.
response. An adequately delivered rental sends the cut. Notice I'm saying adequate. Delivered rental sends the customer out with a better working knowledge of the controls and a better understanding of his responsibilities. See the form section for the vehicle checklist, and you'll get a lot out of that. Several companies are suggesting that the walk around adds to the transaction time. Bet you can't guess which company sent out a letter to all their franchises telling them that they can no longer load luggage into the customer's car because it takes an average of 10 minutes longer before the customer can leave.
Huh.
Hertz.
I don't know any rental company. You know, I've rented cars considerably over the last 25, 30 years. I don't remember anybody ever helping me put the luggage in the car.
Doesn't happen
No.
because they sent out a letter and said, don't do that.
Wow.
Okay. And I happened to be at that point working with a Hertz location and in Mexico of all places.
Mhm.
And the owner, one of the things that he did was he prided himself. He was proud of the fact that they did over the top customer service,
Right.
including loading the luggage into the car for the customer.
Right.
And he got a letter of complaint not to do it anymore
Really?
from Hertz.
Wow.
Okay. And it was something like, it has been a long-standing Hertz edict that our locations do not load luggage because it adds an extra 10 minutes to every rental.
Hmm.
Now, we've made a good rental. We've even helped them with their luggage. A large part of counter management. Too often, customer service reps feel my job is to be there, like David said. I got to punch in at such a time and I punch out at another time. And all I have to do is wait for customers to come in. No. Customer management or counter management is, I need, and this is what you want to put into your policies and procedures. They need to stay in touch with the customer. At minimum, you want to get an email address and a work phone number and an emergency phone number. In the event, Mr. DeVore, that something happens to you during the term of the rental, God forbid, is there an emergency contact you'd like to give me? Maybe a mom or a dad. They could lie to you about everything on the rental agreement without even thinking. They blurt out mom's phone number.
Right.
Okay. Now you got an emergency phone number in case you got to get a hold of them. And I need your email address. And as soon as the customer leaves, send them an email. Thank you for your business, blah, blah, blah. Just want to let you know that if you have any problems, just all you have to do is give us a call, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then halfway through the rental, we call them. Just wanted to let you know we're going over the rentals and I saw that you're going to be bringing the car back on Friday. We have another customer that's interested in that, but if you're not going to be here, let me know. So if you want to extend the rental, I'd love to have you keep it, but I want to make sure that I have a reservation for this other fellow.
Mhm.
Any way you want to say it, which is true. You want to know what cars you have to rent. Well, if it's halfway through the rental and you hear, I don't have that car, my girlfriend's got it.
Mhm.
What? Your girlfriend is not supposed to have that car. That's when you go to your tracking device and turn it off.
Mhm.
Shut the ignition off. All right? Because she's not supposed to be driving the car.
Mhm.
Staying in touch will help you increase your utilization because you will schedule the vehicle for someone else. It'll also alert you if there are any problems. You should know that ahead of time.
Mhm.
Not 3 days after the rental is due. Equally as important is the delivery, as the delivery is the return. Doing exactly the same as we did when the car went out. We walk around it, we take pictures of it. We can reduce our issues at the return to zero by doing our job correctly at the opening and closing of the rental agreement. One of the things that happens, and it's a pet peeve of David and me, because too many times the customer goes home with the keys in his pocket.
Uh-huh.
All right. So the very first thing you do on a return is get the keys and then walk around the back of the car and open the trunk.
It sounds stupid.
I'll tell
Really
you
does
something.
sound stupid.
My niece's wedding, no, was my niece's wedding 2 weeks ago. I pulled up to the wedding hall. I parked valet and I went into the wedding hall. And about 10 minutes later, I see one of the valet attendants walking around the wedding hall. And I said, and I had a little conversation with him as I pulled my car up. So I said, "Hey, how you doing? Are you looking for somebody? It's my niece's wedding. I know everybody here." I said, "Can I help you find somebody?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for you." And then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Uh-oh, I have the keys." He goes, "Yeah, I need."
There you go. So you know exactly what we're talking about.
I've had customers walk off with my keys, and I have actually walked off with a rental company's key and had to FedEx it back to
Right,
the location.
right.
It happens. So
Yep.
always make sure your CSRs realize in big bold letters in your manual, ask the customer for the
Yep.
keys first.
Yep.
And then pop the trunk. By telling them to pop the trunk or the rear hatch, they have a reason to have the keys.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And then there's byproducts of that. Did you leave anything in the trunk, Mr. Jones?
Right.
And then as they walk around the car, they'll notice if there's any dings or dents, and then they can take their videos, take a picture of the dashboard, and then go inside and close out the rental agreement.
Right.
Never reach underneath the seat of a car without looking first. Especially today, you don't know what's going to be underneath the seat of a car. And you could get hurt. Your agent could get hurt.
Uh-huh.
I personally reached underneath the seat and pulled out a pistol. But
Really?
now my fingerprints are all over the pistol.
Wow.
I called the sheriff. They came down, said, "Oh, it's really nice of you to let us know. Thank you very much." And then they picked me up or they asked if I needed to be picked up at 10 o'clock that night so that I could go and get fingerprinted and be eliminated as a suspect.
Wow.
3 o'clock in the morning before I got out of the trooper barracks.
Wow.
And on the way out the door, the young trooper sitting at the front door said, "So, Mr. Schauber, what are you going to do the next time you find a gun underneath the seat of the car?" I said, "I'm going to throw it in the canal is what I'm going to do."
Wow.
Because we're right near the Erie Canal.
Wow.
So the whole point is mistakes get made that way.
Uh-huh.
Worst comes to worst, there could be needles.
Uh-huh.
underneath the seat, so on. So always make sure that your people look underneath the seat before they reach in. Once you take the keys, walk around, you make sure the jack is still in there. Check to the floor mats, the cigarette lighter, wheel covers. You don't have to physically look at it, but be aware. And start the engine, listen, make sure it's running okay. Okay. Calculate all the charges and explain the calculations to the customer along with the bill. I had one fella, the CSR was closing out the rental agreement on a Kia. And I was doing something else in the lot, and I noticed that the hood was popped up just a little bit. So I walked over to close the hood, and it wouldn't close. And so I popped the hood and realized that apparently this guy had gone airborne with the car, and cars don't land like they do on the Dukes of Hazzard. And they land on the front bumper, and it had shoved everything, the radiator core and everything, up about 3 inches. And that's why the hood wouldn't close.
Wow.
And it ruined the car. We couldn't fix it. And our agent was just about ready to let the guy leave, and I stopped everything right there and then. And we got it taken care of it at that point. Calculate all the charges and explain the calculations to the customer along with the total bill. If there are any damages, charge them on a separate invoice, not on your agreement. Because when they get back to Hong Kong, if they're going to cancel the charges for the damage because somebody's going to say, you know, you should have turned it over to your insurance company, you shouldn't have paid it. Well, if they go and they cancel everything on the rental agreement and you charge for the damage done on the rental agreement, you're going to lose it all. You might as well at least get your rental. So you put the damage charges on a separate invoice and let them pay it. And I used to ask if they had a different credit card. Upon completing the rental, the counter agent closing out should put his initials on the bottom of the form. Your software will do that for you. The customer may have misplaced his copy, not a problem, because your software will print another copy for him at the closing. Finally, after closing the contract, thank the customer for their business, and don't forget to ask for a future reservation. In other words, say thank you. And say you're welcome. No problem. I hate that. No problem. I didn't know it was a problem.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, look at the size of the paws on that thing.
Look at that, isn't
It's
it?
huge.
I can't imagine.
Wow.
No, that's too much.
Now, in your counter procedures, you need daily closing procedures. Now, David, you had 3 shifts. So you didn't have a daily closing procedures. You had closing procedure per shift, right?
Oh, per shift, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
And we had 3 separate cashiers,
there you go.
you know, one for each shift. And they had to open and close, and they had to balance the cash box and balance the sales to the cash. Every shift change. Yeah.
Closing procedures are necessary to ensure all completed daily activity units and rental contracts are accounted for. The counter is then ready for the next day. Proper closing procedures provide efficiency and speed in the morning shift, affecting better service to the early morning customers. That brings up a statement. If I'm going to be open at 7:30, what time should I be there?
7 o'clock.
Thank you. You cannot believe how many customers will be there at 7 o'clock waiting for you. Okay. But the worst thing you want to do is get there at 7:30 because now you've got twice the number of customers waiting for you. And then you still have to turn on the heat and the lights and the coffee. Listed below are some suggested closing activities, again, for your policies and procedures.
Mhm.
Organize the counter to ensure efficiency for the morning shift. Place all early morning returns and reservations in a predetermined location so they don't have to think about it or hunt for it. It's right here. Separate all overdue rental contracts to be contacted first thing in the following morning.
Mhm.
Conduct a lot check, count your cars, check all available units, making sure no keys are missing and all vehicles are locked. Print the necessary reports for the next business day and make sure there are ready cars on the lot for the following day's reservations.
Mhm.
Now, if you're going to close at 7 at night, don't start this at 7 o'clock at night because it's going to get done haphazardly.
Mhm.
Pick a time during the day. And what I used to do was we used to pick 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, we would run our reports, balance our sales up to that point,
Mhm.
and balance our cash, stick our nose out the door, count the number of cars,
Mhm.
and look to see how many are missing. And then if they are, why?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, years ago, David, you didn't have computers.
No, we didn't. But even when we did, we would get a on-lot report, and it would tell us the cars that should be on the lot. And we were running, I think it was right around 2,500 to 3,000 cars at the time. This was LAX. And every time, every day we did the inventory, there would be at least 37 missing cars. The number stuck in my mind for my lifetime.
Wow.
And we couldn't find them. And the computer said they're on the lot, but they were not on the lot. So where the hell were they? We didn't know. So the only thing we could pay attention to was if the same car was on that report for more than 3 days in a row.
Mhm.
Then we'd go looking for that car, forgetting the other 36. Right?
Wow.
And that's about as close as we could get. And I never got an inventory much closer than that with that number of things. A lot of it was computer error,
Mhm.
which was typically input error. All right, they would show a car that was on the lot that actually did an extension, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the way it worked. There was another point of where I wanted to check my inventory and my utilization. I wanted 80% utilization. We didn't have a computer at the time. We went and marked off the lot. And I knew if I had this many cars on the lot, that was 20% of my fleet,
Right.
meaning I was doing 80% utilization. But any more cars that went over that yellow line on my lot,
Mhm.
I knew I had to get those rented today.
Mhm.
And so we would put a spiff on the rent, a spiff meaning an extra payment. If you rented this car or that car or that car, I'd give you an extra $5 today.
Mhm.
To get 'em. I go on and on. I'm sorry.
No, but that's exactly the thought process that we got to do local.
Oh, every day,
Yeah.
every single day.
And the
Yeah.
advantage to it is if you balance sales, you balance cash, and you balance inventory the way we just talked about, and you do that every day against your computer, because you're going to be able to run a cash journal or something similar, a
Mhm.
sales journal, and a
Mhm.
utilization report, which will tell you where the cars are.
Mhm.
And then if you balance all 3 of those every day at say 3 o'clock, and at the end of the month, the last day of the month at 3 o'clock, you're all done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Give it
That's
to the
it.
back room. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Give it to your accountant. Now, On the last day at 3:01,
Mhm.
that's the first rental for for the next month.
Mhm.
And then just run it that way.
Mhm.
And you get a more accurate count. Your end of the month is not a scramble.
Mhm.
The only scramble I should have at the end of the month is to get as many wheels on the road as possible, because somewhere along the month, I hit my break even day.
Mhm.
So my scramble on the end of the month should be to get as many cars out because they're free.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So we balance the day's business, and you can take these and copy them. Balance sales, balance cash, balance inventory. Once you have done the reports, you'll have balance sales, cash, and inventory.
Mhm.
Notice I got a capital C on cash. It must be like a Freudian thing. Do these basic steps every day, and at the end of the month, you've balanced and ready to go.
Mhm.
Overdue rentals. Management must prioritize any overdue rental contract for a first call the following morning at the end of the day. This procedure will help with vehicle control. Your options for overdue rentals may be the following: calling the customer to confirm the rental date, the return date. Extend the contract if there's an acceptable credit card. If you cannot contact the customer, you might need to send a certified letter demanding the return of the vehicle. Attempt to repossess the vehicle. If you have GPS with starter interrupt, shut off the starter, because the next time he or she turns off the car, it won't restart. Guess what? They'll call you.
Mhm.
Accident reporting. David, you want to do accident reporting? You don't want me to?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Like it or not, accidents are going to happen. Steve, accidents are part of our rental business. Don't take it personal. I did. What did you do to my car? We shouldn't be saying, what did you do to my car? We should be saying, how many people did you kill?
Mhm.
Okay.
We don't keep a baseball bat behind the counter anymore.
No, I did for a while, but
Right.
no. Okay.
No.
You can turn the accident into a positive part of your business. Whenever one of your vehicles is involved in an accident, you put that little line that I was talking about on the bottom of your contract. So I would put a little hash mark next to it for the customer to initial it, so that he knows he's supposed to call the police. Usually you'll get a phone call from the renter, and sometimes it's going to be at the point where the accident is. Make sure your customer is at ease, because your agent, your counter agent, should be handling the call like a normal course of business. Okay. Make sure the customer is at ease. Your customer is probably already upset with the situation. Get the customer to a comfort level so you can get all the necessary information. It is vital that you be calm about this. And I'm directing this to the CSR. It'll help you put your renter at ease. You need to obtain a lot of information, and an upset renter may forget facts that you need. If the customer calls from the accident scene, be sure to take immediate control of the situation. You need to determine if it's a severe accident. You must decide if the accident is severe or minor, one with injuries or severe damage. If the accident is minor with no injuries, advise the driver to obtain the other car's license plate number, driver's name, and their insurance company. Determine if your car is drivable. If so, have the customer bring it right in. If the customer is too upset to drive, go get the car and take the customer home. If there are any doubts about the drivability of the car, have it towed.
Mhm.
If the accident is severe, inform the driver to leave the car where it is unless traffic conditions make it impossible. Inform the driver to be sure not to move any injured persons unless it's necessary. Immediately report the accident to the police. In a severe accident, you must take the steps required to call an ambulance, police, fire department, or a towing company.
Mhm.
That will help you to control the situation. Historically, most of your accidents are going to be a broken taillight, a dented fender, or a door, usually reported when the customer returns. Professionally handling this type of accident will make your job of collecting for damage much more effortless.
Mhm.
When the customer comes in with a damaged car, we recommend first you close out the rental contract and settle the rental charges. Get the money. Second, take the renter to a quiet place where the two of you can fill out the accident report form. Determine any liability for payment and make arrangements. In a severe accident, or in every accident, severe or not, fill out the accident report form supplied by the rental car or by your insurance company and report it to your insurance company. The papers are simple to fill out. Be confident that it is complete and detailed.
Mhm.
You must get a signature from the driver. This will protect you from any possible after the fact claims.
Mhm.
If you cannot, if they refuse to sign it, then all you have to do is customer refuse to sign and then you sign it.
Mhm.
The decision to give the customer another car is yours. Keep in mind the facts of the accident and any possible injuries to your renter. Sometimes an individual may feel fine, but 24 hours later, a problem could jeopardize your second car. A good suggestion is to photograph the damage along with a picture of the license plate. Keep it in your file. Anytime one of your vehicles in an accident, even if it's minor, it should be in your policies and procedures to have it repaired and inspected before you rent it again. Set up a file for this accident. Include your copy of the accident form and a copy of the police report. Forward a copy of both to your insurance company and any other information they may need. With most accidents, one would expect that the police will take a report at the scene.
Mhm.
Not now, not with the defund the police and work stoppages. Okay, so therefore, they're only going to respond when somebody's dead or dying.
Mhm.
If you still need an accident report, you still need to report the accident to the state. An accident report is the information that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration need. When the police come to the scene to make a report, it's all done for you. But if the police do not show because the damage is minor or it happens on private property where they will not go, it is the driver's responsibility to report it to the state.
Where do they report it? How do they report
They
it?
can report it either to the DMV
Mhm.
or to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it falls back on the rental operator. It is your advantage. It is to your advantage to make sure the state is made aware of the accident. And you get a copy of the report to send to the insurance company, whether it is the driver's insurance or yours. At worst, it is a bit extra work, but you will get paid faster from the insurance companies and possibly protect your company from lawsuits. I'm going to give you a situation that I'm dealing with right now with a fella. He has a lady that had an accident with his car. She doesn't remember where the accident was. Was it in New Jersey, Delaware, or Rhode Island?
Mhm.
She can't remember.
Mhm.
She has to report it to the police. So she went to the police in New Jersey. And she said the same thing. I don't know where it happened. How could you not know where it happened?
Right.
Okay. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it was hit in a parking lot and she just didn't happen to walk to that side of the car until she did and saw it and had no clue where it happened. So, okay. But there's more to it than that. Because it could be, and this is where I counseled him. I said, you could be dealing with a hit and run. And there could be somebody in that hospital somewhere that has your license plate number in reverse on his forehead.
Mhm.
And when he comes out of the coma and they take the bandages off, they're going to see the bruises with your numbers. I said, so you could have a vehicle that was involved in a hit and run. So when she comes in, call the local police and ask them to come out and tell them that you think the vehicle might have been involved in a hit and run. Now they have to take a report.
Mhm.
And you don't have to get involved in where it was done or what have you. As far as you're concerned, it was a hit and run. You got to protect yourself and you got to protect your business.
Mhm.
Whether he does that or not, I don't know, but that's what I used to do. You can find a sample claim form in the form section.
Can I take 2 minutes?
Yes.
Steve, did I tell you the story of the nun?
No, no.
No.
My Los Angeles store, customer rented a car, came back 20 minutes later, exchanged the car. They walk around the car, no damage to the car, so they made the exchange. An hour later, the police came in. That particular car was in a hit and run. It hit a nun in a crosswalk. You know what a
Wow.
nun is?
Yeah,
You know what a
Catholic
nun
nun.
is, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what a crosswalk is, and you put the two of
Yes.
them together, and it's a bad problem. And anyhow, one that was with her got the license plate number. And we were able to give the cop the information. He turned it over to Highway Patrol and they got the guy in a couple of hours. The nun was okay. She got up and walked away. She was a little bruised, but that's about all.
Wow.
And we had a liability claim that we settled for a little under 900,000.
Hello.
You don't
Wow.
run over nuns in a crosswalk.
Wow.
I don't care what you think of them. Don't run over them.
Listen, for her, it was the miracle she was waiting for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know who got the money. We paid the church, but I did find one thing. I dealt with about 5 or 6 of the pretty high people in the church in Los Angeles, and I found them to be some of the most intelligent people I've ever dealt with in my life. And I was talking to one of them and he said, Mr. Wells, think of this. If we're not actually running a church, we have nothing to do but learn.
Right.
That's all they do.
Right.
And I thought these guys, every one of them I met, I thought they were both lawyers and CPAs.
Yes.
All right. And there's nothing I could do to slide anything by them, I'll tell you.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry, just another story.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
All right. Down
And
here in the
think about it,
south,
in your faith, a good solid rabbi with a good following,
Right.
extremely intelligent, right?
Yep. Very
Yeah.
much so. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. There's your new manager.
there's your new manager. And she's probably from South Carolina. Not fair. Could be upstate New York.
Right.
True.
Got the
Employee
baby, the
training.
car, the gun, and the pickup truck.
Yeah, I like that. And the exhaust. We got the exhaust right there. And a bottle of beer.
Right.
Perfect. All too often, an operator will spend a lot of money on startup and then turn it over to an existing employee who doesn't really care.
Mhm.
It's critical to the success of a rental operation that the owner has someone trained to cover for them to get out of the location and attend additional training classes, workshops, conventions, marketing, or even things like, vacation.
Mhm.
There's something to think about here. David and I talk about it a lot. Are we working in the business or are we working on the
Or the business, right?
If you're the kind of guy that's working in the business, then Pace better be the kind of guy that's going to work on the business.
Mhm.
All right. Working on the business means going to additional training classes,
Mhm.
going to workshops, going to the conventions, marketing, taking a vacation so you can regenerate your batteries.
Mhm.
Those are the things that an owner needs to do, not rent cars. So who's running the store? Are they adequately motivated? And are they trained? Are they motivated to build the business or just answer the phones? Like that gal that David had there that kept saying, yeah, no, we don't have any buy.
Mhm.
Now's an excellent time to set your business operating plan and create job descriptions. One of the things when I was working with the guy in Mexico, he asked me about job descriptions for, they call them the lavaliers,
Mhm.
which is Spanish for the wash guys. And he said, we need to create a job for the lavaliers. And I said, a job description. And I said, you don't have one? He said, no. He said, and I really need to do one. What do you think I should do? I grabbed a piece of paper and I wrote down job description and I handed it to him with a pen. And I said, now go out to each one of the guys out there and give them one of these and tell them to write down everything that they do all day long. And then at the end of the day, tell them to turn it in back to you.
Mhm.
And then you can sit down and say, yeah, that's part of his job. That's part of his job. That's not. Why is he doing that? That's part of his job. That's not. And what you just did was you are creating a job description based on what they're actually doing during the day. And it's interesting when you start to do that, and especially with your CSRs, your customer service reps,
Right.
you find out that they're doing a whole bunch of things that really do not bring in any money.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to steal this from David. Most CSRs sitting behind the counter waiting for the next customer, their biggest job is to talk about you, the owner. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We want them filling out postcards,
Right.
mailing, following up with phone calls, calling overdue rentals. These are all things that are part of their job description. And if we're getting email addresses on every rental agreement,
Right.
then we've got something we can send. By the way, Christmas is coming. If you're going to need a 7-passenger van, you better make a reservation now,
Right.
so we're not sold out. And then follow up with the customer. They help with your marketing.
Excuse me a second.
Whoa.
Think about a software called Constant Contact.
Yes, I'm familiar with.
Love it.
Yeah.
Put all the emails into that. You can blast emails all day long.
Right.
Whenever you have a special, just hit the button and bang, there it goes out to all of them.
Right.
All right.
One of the things that we want to do is review the organization for your company. In a well-established organization from the very beginning, and I know it sounds silly to create job descriptions when there's only 2 of you, but you got to start now.
Yeah.
Our advice is to set your business plan with a goal and hopefully set your goal to be at 50 cars by the end of the year.
Right.
And then break it down backwards. What do I have to do to be at 50 cars? Well, I got to be at 25 cars in 6 months. What
Right.
do I have to do to be at 25 cars in 6 months? I got to be at like 14 or 15 cars in 3 months. So we're starting out with 14 or 15 cars. So we got to find homes for all those cars, rental agreements for all those cars, and then move forward.
Right.
Rates will take care of themselves if you focus on hitting your objective, the number of cars.
Huh.
There's David. This was David in the early years.
Yeah.
Right, David?
You got it.
No job is fully completed until paperwork is done. We've provided some forms in here for you. And a lot of these things are going to be part of your software, your rental program.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you have an affidavit for parking tickets. So, because you're going to get the parking tickets in the mail, you want to be able to send them out,
Right.
okay? And send them to the office of the parking clerk. Here's a customer cash application. Once you are in a position where you want to take cash, that's the one you use. You can copy any of these, use them where you want them, and so on. Here's one that your accountant should get. It's an industry standard chart of accounts.
Mhm.
It was put together by the Mudgett Group years ago when we were transferring from accounting books, the big journals, okay, to computers.
Mhm.
And they came up with a standard chart of accounts that you can create a good solid P&L and so on. There's a lot more information and a lot more accounts in this than you're going to need. One of the things that I did when I took over as a GM for Omni Rent-A-Car out in California was I convinced, much to her chagrin, the bookkeeper / accountant to get me to under 20 charts of accounts on the chart of accounts. And she went home crying that night. And the next day when she came in, I apologized for making her cry and showed her how I wanted to do it. And we did it. We got it to, actually we got close. We got to 22 chart accounts on the chart. My P&L was a 1 page. Okay. David, and I didn't know David at the time, he was doing the same thing. Your
Yep.
insurance? Go ahead.
Even running a 3,000, 4,000 car operation, if that P&L went past a page and a half, I was complaining to the CFO. That was just stupid.
Right.
All right. What do I care about the cost of shop racks? All right. I don't care about that.
Right.
All right. Throw that into auto maintenance. I don't care what you do. But I don't want a 5-page P&L. And
Right.
too many accountants think that by providing you with a 5, 6, 8-page P&L that they're earning their money. No, my attitude's the reverse. You earn your money when you give me a 1-page P&L.
That's exactly it. It is vital to get all the information when you're doing an insurance replacement. And this form is great to have on the counter because you're taking this information over the phone. You can transfer it into the computer later. But this will give you a list. Now, if all of this information is on your reservation form in the computer, then you're fine.
Right.
Okay. Here's a notice of demand for a motor vehicle. You fill this out. I had one guy that actually copied this and he sent it to the office of the parking clerk or the police, and he sent it to the guy, and this whole paragraph was on the top. I said, no, don't do that. And then your company name and your company representative were there as well.
Right.
Not the real names. Okay. Public relations form. You're going to be involved in the chamber. They're going to be doing things like golf tournaments. Okay. I actually gave away a Geo Metro convertible. I know I'm dating the time. It goes back to the 80s. But it was a little bitty 3-cylinder car made by Daewoo with a Chevrolet label on it. And I gave it away at a March of Dimes golf tournament for a hole-in-one on the 3rd hole. I bought an insurance policy from a company in Texas for $325 that would pay $11,000 if somebody got a hole in one.
Really?
And we had video cameras when they were this big now set up on the hole and on the green.
Yeah.
And everybody that signed up for the tournament would fill out their card, and then we would take a video when everybody teed off, and one guy actually did it. He got a hole in one. So we had the local news there presenting him the keys to the car, because we had the car sitting down on the green, behind the green. And it was a bright yellow, ugly little car. I mean, it wasn't much bigger than a roller skate with wheels or with a motor. But it was a car. And we got all kinds of press. We were in the newspaper, the whole deal. And the guy didn't take the car, by the way. He took the cash instead, which I didn't blame him. But we got a big splash out of it. And it went on for months. Oh, you're the guys that gave away the car at the golf tournament. Yes, we are.
And all it cost you was that $300 and something.
It was $325 or $365. And what you do is you give them all the information about the golf course and the handicap of all the guys that sign up and so on. And they calculate how much it's going to cost for the premium.
Wow.
And I'm sure it's a lot more money today.
Right.
But it was it was a company out of Texas. They're still in business. I don't remember who they are, but
wow.
When you see, so anyway, there's where your PR release. One of the other guys, by the way, was a little bit more cheeky than I was. He brought in a hot tub.
Huh.
And he had girls sitting in bikinis in the hot tub, and he was passing out bottles of beer,
right,
with his label for his business on it. And we all hung out at that,
of course, yeah,
for a while. So anyway, that's the kind of fun you can have being involved with the chamber. Here's an accident report form. This is a generic accident report form, and it is a cover sheet to use for your accidents. Okay. And you'll notice there's corporate claims. Those are the folks that'll handle your accidents for GMI or US Choice. And here's a direction to pay. What I would suggest, and I've been suggesting this more and more lately, because the cost of cars has skyrocketed, the cost of repairs have done the same. And too often, insurance companies are dragging their feet to pay claims. So what I am suggesting to a lot of people is use this direction to pay. Go out and interview a couple of body shops and that do billing. Because when you take your car, your personal car in, and the insurance company is going to pay, they pay the body shop directly, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no reason you as a rental car company can't cut the same deal. This way, you're not sitting on an accident waiting for a check to go get the car fixed. Take the car to that body shop, get it fixed, get the authorization to pay signed so that the insurance company knows that they have to deal with Billy Bob's body shop, and you're out of it. Fix the car, get it back on the road. Now, too many times the rental car company gets involved because he wants to get and make some money on the deal from the insurance company. And he's actually stealing from his own insurance. He's got a $12,000 repair on a car, and he knows that he can go over and twist the guy's arm, get it done for 10 and keep $2,000.
Right.
But he's got to sit on the car for a month until he gets a check to do so.
Right.
Okay, do the math. Okay. It just cost him $2,000
Right.
to do that. So he didn't make any money on the deal. Where he could have gotten the car fixed right away and let the body shop do the billing
Yeah.
and not try to make his ham sandwich on a couple of bucks. We talked about 15-passenger van. Here's that acknowledgement that we talked about that the customer can sign. You can print it out, put it on your letterhead.
Mhm.
Here is the checklist for getting the car ready after it's been returned.
Mhm.
Okay. And you can also use it for a check-in, check-out.
Right.
There are a couple of software apps that you can put on
Yep.
your phone that actually put this on the phone, and you take pictures, and then you take a picture of the dent and you touch there and you touch the dent, and
Right.
it puts a dent on the thing. That's
Right.
great, but it's a lot of money.
Mhm.
You can do it with your own phone. So just, you got this to play with too.
Okay.
And like David said, here's your pickup and drop off form, your reservation form.
Right.
And it's just one to, we used to have these made up in tablets,
Yeah.
in little tablets, like a scratch pad.
Right.
Put it
Right.
on the counter.
Mhm.
And once they took a because you could have, like on a Saturday morning, you could have people taking reservations for Monday, all the, on 2 or 3 phones.
Right.
Okay. And you got one terminal. So, just take them. One last thing. A book.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. With notes.
Yep.
Should be next to every telephone. So that every phone call that comes in, they're writing down the phone call.
Right.
And you may find out at the end of the week, you sit down and say, let's see what kind of phone calls we had. And they write down every phone call that comes in. And they write down every customer that they talk to. And in doing that, you're finding out what kind of cars you got to have.
Mhm.
You could have, at the end of the week, you could have 7 requests for a pickup truck.
Right.
You
Right.
didn't have any pickup trucks.
Right.
Well, let's go another week and see if we still get it.
Right.
Bingo. We got 9 this week. And, they were all instructed to say, I'm terribly sorry, but they're all out on rent right now.
Right.
Now, guess what? Steve, you better go buy some pickup trucks. And I would buy 1 or 2 pickup trucks, put them into service.
Right.
Okay. You might find that people want convertibles. Then maybe you better get some convertibles. You might find out that nobody wants to drive. We got a Toyota Corolla. You might get some old duffer that says, I don't want no Japanese cars. They cut the head off of my brother. I don't want one of them Japanese cars.
Right.
Well, there aren't that many of those guys left, but you'll know that you should be. You might have somebody say, we don't drive Chryslers. What other luxury cars do you have?
Right.
Okay, so you're going to know. And with that information, we are at the bewitching hour, Steve.
Right.
So long and
Okay.
the short of it, it is, we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to shut off the, actually, I'll leave it in case you got any questions. We're still recording.
Okay.
But when I close this out, I'll get you those 2 recordings for 3 and 4.
Right.
The one thing that I want you to know is we're available. And David and I are going to be here for you.
Okay. Good.
And as you get closer to opening, let us know. And as things come out that you don't know how to answer, either one of us call. David, did you give Stephen your direct line?
Oh, let me first see what it is.
My direct line, Steve, is 803
Mhm.
753
753
7071.
7071. Okay.
And Jim at Schallberg.com.
Right, that I got.
And David?
Mine is 803 504
504
2926.
2926. Okay. And I have your
And
email.
that's David at Schallberg.com.
Right. Okay. Very good. So just right now, actually, I was supposed to meet the landlord yesterday, but he
Mhm.
wasn't ready. So we're meeting hopefully tomorrow.
Good.
Hopefully he's giving me a copy of the lease, which I'll be able to review. And we expect that we will hopefully sign it by next week.
Awesome.
We already filed for the mercantile license as well as the CO for the
Good.
location. I have the insurance broker working right now on the workers' comp and on this other threshold insurance that you mentioned as well.
Good.
And I'm going to, once I know I have the lease signed, or at least that tomorrow after I meet the landlord, that I will be signing the lease, I'm going to order the utilities from Verizon. Hope to make a decision within the next week on or earlier for software provider. And once we have that done, I guess the next steps really are going to be now searching for cars,
Good.
at least for the first 2 to 5 cars that we want to try to get as quickly as possible.
Good.
Any ideas where to start for that? Just local dealers or anybody in particular?
I would, well, first of all, you want to have a reference point, and the reference point should be like the NADA average trade-in for the particular type of car that you're looking for, and try and stay within that dollar value
Right.
for the cars that you're going to get. Second of all, I would look for not so much a new car dealer, or rather not so much a used car dealer. Try to find somebody that has the certified used cars.
Okay.
Are you going to look, how old do you want to look for cars?
Well, for the first few cars, we were actually thinking about, especially in today's market, going for the new cars because their pricing is not that much greater right now than the used cars.
Right.
So, but in the event that we do come across a good opportunity for a used car or a certified used car, the ones that we were basically looking for are the Hyundai and Kia sedan type models.
Yeah.
If we can get, some Toyotas as well, trying initially at least try to stay away from the Nissans, as a couple of the body shop guys had told me that, they don't like the quality of them. Just keep constantly looking for whatever we can get our hands on, including minivans.
Here's what I would suggest. I would get a hold of a Kia dealer and make a friend, a Hyundai dealer, make a friend, and I know it because of what the guys are saying, but Nissans, Kia, Hyundai, Nissan, there are vehicles available. Toyota, not so much.
Right.
And then the domestic manufacturers have nothing.
Right.
So that would be that's where I would start. David?
Yeah, I would go there. I would also take a look if you have any Enterprise car sales location
Yeah.
or Hertz car sales location.
Yeah, we do.
I'd look at both of them.
Okay.
I've dealt with Hertz. I'm very happy with them. I've got clients that have dealt with Enterprise. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
They price their cars reasonably. They want to move the car.
Mhm.
They don't want the car sitting on the lot waiting for the top buyer.
Mhm.
They're not cherry picking. They want to move those cars. So
Okay.
look at both places, Hertz and Enterprise.
All right.
There's another one. What's the one that you like up the highway, Jim?
CarMax.
The name of it? What's that?
CarMax.
CarMax.
Yeah.
Okay.
CarMax is another one.
CarMax and Echo Park. But one of the things that you want to be careful is you don't want their financing.
Right,
You don't want anybody's financing. You got to get your own.
right. So we're
Gotta get
talking
something
to
that's-
Fleetway. We're talking to Fleetway.
Okay, good, good. And I think Fleetway is, I think they're with a Volkswagen dealer. And I think they're Volkswagen, Mazda, and one other one. And
Mhm.
Mazda's another one that's got a bunch of cars. And
Right.
Mazdas and Fords are, pretty close.
Right, I drive a Mazda. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, they're great cars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, boys
All
and
right.
girls,
Very good.
those cards and letters coming.
Yep.
And it has been a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll have many, many more.
I'm sure we will. And once I get those other recordings, I'm going to go over them with Pacey as well. We'll sit down for a few hours just to do a review of them. And we're really excited and looking forward to this.
Great.
Well, I am
Okay.
thrilled. I'm going to turn on.